Hey guys, what's going on? Druzy here, back again with another South Park Phone Destroyer video, and there have been some comments in some of my more recent content here on the channel where a lot of you have been asking, well, not a lot of you, but some of you have been asking or been stating that you're relatively new to the game and you would like to get some better knowledge base on the game of maybe what cards to use, whether they're commons, rares, epics, legendaries, like what I feel are the better cards to be using right now within the new meta, because the meta has shifted dramatically with the recent balance changes now 2 updates or so ago, where epics and legendaries were buffed immensely and commons were nerfed and rares were basically altered a little bit in a buff, so to speak. So because of that, there's been a lot of change in the way some of these cards have worked. Some cards have been put in the meta much more consistently than in before, and I kind of wanted to go through each of the different tiers of kind of rarity within the game and talk about which cards I still think are extremely viable. So for common cards, I will talk about my top 10 common cards that I still think can be used in the current meta regardless of level. And I'm not really going to go in any specific order as far as rating them, as far as the 10th best to the number 1 common card right now, but I'm just going to give you 10 common cards that I still think have viability right now within the meta, and I'll explain why with each selection. Then I will do a video tomorrow about rares. The following day I will do one where I will break down my top 10 epic cards within the game. So I will actually rate which I think is the 10th best epic to which I think is the top epic card right now within the game. And then I will do that same kind of system with legendaries, that I will rank them as well. But I will not rank commons and rares, because I don't think there needs to be a ranking system. It's more or less just trying to give you more of a knowledge base with which ones I think can still be used within the meta. And I know that oftentimes with these types of videos, you guys are going to disagree with things that I'm going to state, and that's perfectly fine. You can do that in the comment section down below, as I do value your guys' opinion, even though I may not always agree with your opinion, but I will, discuss my reasoning behind, why I picked each of these cards. And again, this is not any specific order. This is me just going based off of my feeling and my gut. So now, are these 100% right? Some people are going to say that are higher tiered, they're going to disagree with maybe the suggestions or the cards I'm going to select, and that's fine. They're entitled to their opinion, but these are cards that I still use that are common cards within my deck, so I think that there's still viability in them, and I'll again explain why. So probably the number 1 card that I'm going to put on this list, and one that a lot of you are going to easily agree with, is Robo Baby, who is probably still the best common card within the game. And the main reason why she's still viable is because her ability is still insanely good. Whenever Robo Baby kills an enemy, her speed, both movement and attack speed, increases, and this can stack up to 3 times. So if you get 3 kills, she's still great at killing swarm units. Her health has seen a minor debuff, as well as her damage output, so she's not going to be as strong or survive as easily. She can be killed with spells. Arrow Storm is a very popular way to kill her, but I believe at level 6, max level 6, she could probably survive Arrow Storm. I believe at level 4, but I'm not 100% on that, and I'm sure you guys will let me know down below whether or not I'm right or wrong in that regard. But she's still extremely viable. She's still very good at clearing out units and being able to stay alive relatively well and do a good amount of damage to the enemy new kid, and is really nicely paired with someone like Bounty Hunter Kyle, or really pretty much almost any of the Kyles except for maybe Kyle the Drowves. But she still has a lot of value, still extremely strong, and still will do a ton of damage for you or your new kid, or to help your team in a battle. And I still, again, use Robo Baby in my sci-fi related decks. I have multiple decks with her in it, and she's still an extremely strong card right now as a common card within the current meta. So I would highly suggest you level her up when you get her, even at lower tiers, because she's only going to get better as you go along. My next common card that I'm going to suggest from the sci-fi theme is Alien Clyde. Now, this one might be up for debate, but Alien Clyde I still think has decent enough stats as a common rarity that he's still going to be viable for you. His poison is still undervalued. It's not going to do quite as much damage as it used to, because it used to almost cancel a level 1 Mecha Timmy. I believe Mecha Timmy's buffed to health. Now, even a level 6 Alien Clyde probably won't kill a level 1 Mecha Timmy. I'm not 100% on that. But it lasts for 20 seconds. Mine does 42 damage poison per second. Now, granted, I'm almost at max level 6 with Alien Clyde, so obviously it's going to change based on how high leveled you have him. But he's still extremely useful. I still think his poison is extremely valuable. He's got pretty good health and pretty good damage output for a common card. So if you have him at level 5, level 6, he's still going to provide value for you. He's going to be able to soak up a little bit of damage, but someone like Dogpoo is going to kill him in 2 or 3, 3 or 4 hits. Choir Boy Butters will still take him out fairly quickly, but he's still a low cost of 3 energy. He's still a useful fighter in my opinion. So I still think Alien Clyde deserves to be on this list and be number 2, at least one of the common cards you should still at least focus on and level through your leveling experience. Next card we're going to talk about, Blood Elf Baby. Now, Blood Elf Baby, again, is very strong, similar to Robo Baby. Robo Baby, in my opinion, is on an echelon above her, but Blood Elf Baby, even at level 4, is viable right now within this meta. She's much stronger at level 5, don't get me wrong, but Robo Baby I think needs to be at level 5 to be really useful in the legendary tiers right now within this game. But Blood Elf Baby at level 4 can still hold her own in the legendary arenas at level 4, but she's going to be obviously significantly better for you if you're able to luckily get her to level 5. A lot of people may or may not be willing to donate her right now within your clan, but if you're a lower tier level card, this is definitely a card that I would suggest working on early and often if you can, muster up the ability to do it, or use your materials on her as a free-to-play player, because Blood Elf Baby provides a ton of value at a lower tier level for a common range card than pretty much any other common range card you're going to find right now. So definitely she's one that I would suggest focusing on. She has good damage output. Even she had much better damage output, so she lost about 20 damage per second with the debuff that she received at max level 4 from this recent debuffs, and she lost a decent amount of health, but she's still viable. She still has a ton of sustainability with her max HP boost that she has, so her ability allows her that anytime she kills an enemy, she heals herself and increases her match XP. So she could sustain a ton if you're able to use her to counter some swarm units. If you keep her in the back, she can be really nice to help poke down some assassin units put out by 69 Randy or any of the other major swarm building units. It can be good to help take out pigeons, take out rats, take out underpants gnomes, whatever kind of swarm unit is coming your way. Blood Elf Baby still has a lot of value, and if you don't deal with her, she can be devastating and really affect and change the tide of a battle. She's extremely strong in friendly battles, but she's also still viable even in ladder play, even in the legendary tiers. So definitely Blood Elf Baby is one to consider for your common collection to level up. Next one we're going to talk about is rats. Now, there are some people that will probably try to go back and forth between rats and pigeons on this one. I have wholeheartedly stated that rats are significantly better than pigeons in all aspects of the game, except obviously the obvious fact that people debate that pigeons are better is because there's more of them and that they fly. So I guess 2 reasons. But in my opinion, rats still are a better counter card than pigeons. They do more damage, have more attack. There are less of them, yes, but I still think rats are extremely useful and extremely good at countering right now, especially with the ramp up in dog poo usage. Rats are just as important now more than ever. And yes, I get it, pigeons are a little bit better at killing dog poo because there's more of them and they're flying, so dog poo can't attack them. But at the same time, one of the big keys with the rat swarm and how they're so good at countering dog poo is the fact that they will slow his movement forward. Pigeons will not do that because he can't attack air. So that's my main defense as far as with rats being better. Now, rats can counter other things other than just dog poo. They're also very good at countering Cyborg Kenny, which pigeons can do as well. So I'd probably pair rats and pigeons in this, lump this together as common swarm units, essentially, that they are very useful to keep leveling and using. But a lot of people got rats to probably a higher level than they did pigeons for obvious reasons, because rats were far superior in a wide variety of usage at level 5 and level 6. In Legendary Arena, they were probably one of the strongest cards in the entire game, and they still are strong and still useful, so I would still use rats. I would still keep rats in your repertoire of cards to level up. But both are neutral cards, so it's going to be harder to get upgrade materials for them, especially as a free-to-play player. So you're just going to have to get lucky as far as getting donations for them, and you may have a better chance of getting donations for rats now that common cards have been nerfed, more so than they obviously were before. But rats have received some tweaking over time, but they're still one of the strongest counter cards in the entire game, and I still think are still useful to you as a common use player. So I would still upgrade rats. Maybe pigeons are a little bit more viable than they were before, and to some people would argue were always viable and are still viable. But I've never been a big fan of pigeons. I've stated that multiple times here on the channel for my own reasons. But some people will debate me on this. But rats or pigeons, can't really go necessarily wrong either way, but I still think rats are better. Our next common card to talk about, Paladin Butters. Paladin Butters, yes, has received a couple of different debuffs over time. One of the main ones being, of course, the common debuff A lot of people, at one point, there was a rumor that he was going to be bumped up to 3 energy cost from the 2 energy cost, which did not happen. So he's still at that 2 energy cost, but he's still viable because his Death Wish is still useful with that invincibility for 3 seconds. He also has very good attack speed, can still pump out a decent amount of damage, and can help you any relative push in the beginning or during the course of a match. And then his Death Wish can help buff other cards that you're going to want to be using to, utilize it for your own advantage. Whether it's a card that's attacking the new kid, like a Dougie, Starvin Marvin, maybe even an Imp Tweak, something like that, or it can be used to try to keep another unit alive for a little bit longer so they can do a little bit more damage for you and benefit the team and your push overall. So Paladin Butter still has some value. I still like him both I use him a lot. He's still used widely in friendly battles for obvious reasons because he's still really strong there. And he's good still in ladder play, in my opinion. So Paladin Butters definitely deserves to be on this list. And he was a lot better, and he's still useful, but he's nowhere near to the full strength that he was before, but I would still definitely use him. Next one, also in the fantasy, also an assassin, Princess Kenny. Princess Kenny is still very, very strong. Yes, she got a nerf to Death Wish a while back where she lost. It was 10 seconds. The Death Wish would allow the killer to not have any attack for 10 seconds. Now it's down to 5 seconds, but it's still useful. It's still nice to have that debuff even for a brief period of time. It could stop at least one dog poo swing, so at least you're going to get to where he's not going to hit you one time, which is still useful and viable and multiple times. She's still very strong in friendly battles, similar to Paladin Butters, and she still has great attack speed and good damage output, even though she's been nerfed as well, obviously being a common card. But I still think Princess Kenny has some value for you if it's a common card that you're worrying about leveling up. I know that that's a lot of fantasy assassins to worry about or to focus on, but there's still viability there in a variety of different game modes, so I would definitely focus on those 2 cards if you need an assassin to help boost your deck. I mean, obviously, their mystical counterparts are going to be stronger because they're both epic cards, but Princess Kenny and Paladin Butters from the fantasy theme still have viability in this meta right now. Maybe not as much as they once did, because at one point you could say they were the most OP cards some of the more OP cards in the game, but they still have viability and are still very strong. Our next common card to talk about, Terrance and Phillip. Now, Terrance and Phillip obviously, again, got nerfs because of the common, but they're still probably one of the strongest cards in challenge mode out of any card, because there's 2 units of them. They have a good amount of health, good amount of damage output. Their attack speed's pretty strong, and they're just really annoying. Great. They are probably the best counter card for. They're probably one of the best. They're probably the best counter card for challenge mode, and still you're not going to see them used as much in Legendary Arena as you once did, because a lot of people don't have them to a respectable level yet. But I still think Terrance and Phillip can be an overwhelming card and can be a strong card for you in any deck that you are using. There are better options now because of the buffs to other tier difficulties of cards or whatnot, but I still think Terrance and Phillip still shouldn't be overlooked completely for you guys. I mean, I'm not 100% if they're widespread, if they have widespread availability yet within the game. I think they're close, or they just recently unlocked it, possibly. But Terrance and Phillip still are useful, again, in challenge mode, can be useful in ladder if they're at maybe a 4 or 5 level. But I still think that they're a little underused, undervalued, and I still think that, again, they can be strong, can be useful, and still should be maybe focused on for a player if you're able to get them to a respectable level. But at level 3, level 4, they're going to be very nice for you in challenge mode. But to be for ladder, you'd probably need them to at least a 4 or 5 to be respectable. But I still think that they could provide some value for you in your deck, regardless of what deck you're using. Next card we're going to talk about is Robin Tweak. I still think Robin Tweak has a lot of value just because his Warcry ability is still useful and can still help you in a fight. Even before the balance updates and the retweaking and the nerfs to common cards, I still think Robin Tweak's really only value was his Warcry ability in the first place. It did see a mild nerf just because of all of the abilities for common cards got some kind of nerf to some degree, I believe. But his Warcry is still useful. It gives you a good amount of health to one specific unit, and it's a random ally, so generally most people were smart enough to wait and use it on when there's only one other person to use it on. but I still think Robin Tweak can provide that value for you for some of the decks and helping some, maybe one specific card, just be able to survive a little bit longer and have a little bit more survivability. I've not seen him used as much as I used to. Obviously, the Canadian Ike and Robin Tweak combo ran rampant in Legendary Arena and in the Silver Shield for a long, long time. That's kind of died off quite a bit just because of the nerf to Robin Tweak. But I still think Robin Tweak's really only value, again, was the Warcry, not so much the damage and the health that he had. But because those received nerfs, I think it hurt him a lot. But I still think he can be somewhat useful at times in a deck for you to maybe steal a bar or things like that if paired with the right kind of cards and whatnot. So I still think Robin Tweak can still be used, but he's definitely not as strong as he was, but still could provide some value at times situationally in a match. Now, the next card, Calamity Heidi, she's been nerfed multiple times, or at least twice now within the game. One was a significant health debuff that happened quite a few updates ago, and then the nerf to common cards also hurt her health a decent amount as well. But for a 2 energy cost, she was kind of a mini tank for a long, long time. That kind of went away. But I still think at level 5, level 6, you're still seeing her in Legendary Arena. Especially level 6 Calamity Heidis are still around in the higher tiers. I've seen her in the top 1,000 gameplay. You're not going to see her in top 100 or above probably, but I still think she has value. Not only in ladder at times, but still definitely in challenge mode. I mean, Adventure is still the strongest class for challenge mode because they still have a lot of useful cards within challenge mode, and Calamity Heidi is definitely one of them. So I would definitely use her pretty much in almost all challenge mode decks that you're going to be building. Adventure should be one of the themes that you utilize, and then you can kind of mix and match between different ones that you are interested in using. But I think just because of her value in both those 2 game modes, or at least in challenge mode and then also in ladder still to some degree, I still think she definitely needs to be a card that you work on. And she's a lot that a lot of people will focus on early on within the game anyways, which is one not to be overlooked and not to be completely ignored anymore. But I wouldn't just completely dedicate all your time and effort into her anymore. But she could still provide some value situationally and at least soak up some damage for a temporary period of time and dish out a little bit of damage herself so that you could get some other units on the field and be able to have a counterattack of your own towards the enemy new kid. And last but not least, Smuggler Ike, guys. So Smuggler Ike makes it over Medea Sally because I still think Smuggler Ike is more useful than Medea Sally primarily because he has a charge ability. So yes, his charge ability received a nerf, then he received a nerf again with the common nerfs, but he's still useful, he's still situational, he's still great in challenge mode, similar to a lot of the common cards we just talked about, and you still will see him on ladder. But again, he's not anywhere near to the extent that he was before as far as being probably one of the strongest assassins in the entire game prior to some of these debuffs that he's received. But I still think at 5 and 6, you're still going to see him in Legendary Arena. You're still going to see him, obviously, in Challenge Mode quite a bit because almost everybody is smart and runs Adventure Mode in Challenge Mode. So, yeah, Smuggler Ike still has a lot of value, still very strong for a common card. And he's one you're going to get early on. He's one you're going to have the ability to level up early on within your leveling experience. And one that I would definitely suggest you guys focus on. So, that's going to be the breakdown of the common cards, guys. I believe I went through my entire list. I kind of went out of order from what I originally wrote them down in. But again, this was not a specific order of cards to say, hey, this is, that the first one I talked about, Robo Baby, was, the best or whatever, the worst or whatnot. So it's kind of be up to debate what you think. But those are definitely some cards I would definitely suggest in the common rarity that I would still focus on, still try to put your upgrade materials into, because I still think they provide value to you in multiple varieties. So again, let me know down below what you guys think. If you guys probably think that I may have left some out, and that's completely up to your opinion. I would like to hear whether you agree, disagree with the selections that I made, but I still feel fairly confident in my selections here in this video. But I know some of you will have more favoritism to some cards other than others, so that might sway your choice in the matter, which would be the same as mine at times probably. So that's again totally up to you. Welcome your guys' opinion. Thank you guys so much for the continued support here on the channel and the input that you guys have been putting on my videos. It's been very encouraging to make me want to make more content for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, guys, my name is Druzy,